Sit. I always have Lobo sit at the front door before we come in. I step in first. He waits till I come back and stand next to him. I say, okay. And make sure, like, because he used to race through the doorway. See how the leash is loose, but still, okay. I might walk slower to get in here and just do a couple little prompts, like you saw me do this. He loves his mat, so he wants to run right on the mat, but he needs permission to go there. So see how I'm walking over here, always left turns, have him sit in front of the mat. He's very excited right now. Just have him sit. My right hand, I'm gonna pat his chest and say, go to your mat, and then down. You start this exercise. You just start rewarding him. Good, putting a reward on the mat in front of him. And just start out really easily, real basic stuff here. If he twists sideways like this, you can always take some of this treat, it's natural balance sausage, kind of lure him to be straight like that. Good, make sure he's not taking it out of your hand. Make sure you put it on the mat, and he waits until you put it on the mat, and then you withdraw and he takes it off the mat. You should not be touching your hands, grabbing it out of your hands. He's very excited right now. This is the way he gets. He gets very excited and wants to jump around and sniff everything, and it takes a few minutes for him to calm down, to get into the groove when you're starting to do this training. Good, but you notice he's staying in a downstay, so I did the basic downstay where I walk around both ways. See how he's twisting? He can't even sit still. He's so fidgety, so I'm gonna lure him to be straight again. Look at this. See this? Lower his body so he's a little bit straighter. Good. You know, you have the option to do it that way, and you saw what I was doing. Or, let's say that he just keeps twisting and turning and flopping around. You can always, okay, reset him, just allow him to get up, and just reset. See how I'm always using my body to step into him? There's no struggling with the leash. Down, reset him so he's straighter. And you might have to do that 2 or 3 times until he kind of gets into the groove. Good. Always rewarding him on the mat. Good. Making sure that he's not touching your hand, that he's actually, I'm going to do it so you can see from the camera. See that? Good. He takes it off the mat after you put it there and withdraw. Okay? So you start out easy like this. And this is just like I said, a basic downstay, and what he does here on the mat, he'll do out in public as well now, because he's done this, practices so much, you don't need the mat anymore for him to do this. Good. But mat's a great thing to do 5 minutes a day. You can do, once you've done that stuff, you can like walk farther away, come back, reward. Good. I'm gonna go in the back of the house here, behind a closed door. And you can remind him what you want him to keep doing if you're gonna try something that's really difficult for him. Down. Knock on this door here, come back. That was a hallway door. He stayed there. Good. Good. Very often when you sit down, it's an invitation for the dog to get up and come over to you. See how he almost did, but he didn't quite. That's okay, as long as he doesn't come over to you. He's still in a down. And we're gonna say, good. We're gonna do that one twice, because that's obviously a tough one for him. You even make it harder by doing stuff like this. Good. Still stayed there. Good. We're going to try some other distractions here. Going outside. These are the big ones, the front door distractions. Going outside. Knocking on the windows. Messing with the mail flap. Ringing the doorbell. Knocking on the door. Everything at once. It's a big reward for that. Good. See, no matter what I do, no matter how much noise I make when I come back, I always slow it down, reward him calmly. It's really important to do that. There's all kinds of other things you could do. Of course, you could pull on the leash. He knows that he's not getting up. He won't come to you, and he gets a reward for that. Good. You know, a lot of dogs, before they're trained, you pull on the leash and they come towards you, so that's just another test of him staying in a downstay. So he knows he only gets up one way, and that's when you release him in a very specific way. And whenever he makes a mistake, you say no, stay calm, reset him, or if he just stands up, say no, step on the leash, put him back, stay calm, just do it over again until he gets it right. But he knows by the time you'll get him back, he'll know how to do this, so if you do these moves, he'll know he made a mistake, you put him back and he'll do better the second try. So to get him off the mat, you come and stand next to him, pat your leg and say, okay, okay. And then we're gonna go back outside again, sit. Always have him sit at the front door. He waits while I step through, and I'm just basically accentuating the fact that this is my boundary, not his. He doesn't get to rush through, he doesn't go through without you. And so we're not calling him to us through the doorway. You just teach the dog to rush through the doorway after you. But what we're doing is much harder for him to do because he has to stay and wait for me to come back to get him and stay calm. And then, okay, walk out with me calmly. If he even starts to pull a little bit, you can just do a little prompt like that and see how the leash is loose. On the outside, sit. And then on the outside, you release him to be free after he's crossed through calmly through the threshold. Go. Now he's free. Give him a little free time outside. Sit. We're having you sit in front of the crate before we put him in. He waits until I open the door. I'm not holding him in place. The leash is loose. Go. You send him in. He goes in, he turns around. Guess what he gets? Good. Gets a treat. Why wouldn't you want to go in there every time? All good things happen in the crate. Every interaction with us and him is very positive in the crate. We never obviously put him in there for punishment. This is his den. Dogs are naturally den animals, so this is his den, and he gets fed in there at feeding time. Put him in his crate, we go get the food, get the bowl of food, put the bowl of food in there. The door is always closed. This door is closed when he's in there, and this door is closed when he's out, because the power of the crate, in a training sense, is controlling the boundary. Because if you control his access in and out of his favorite place in the world, where he gets treats, if he has bones and chewies and things that he really likes, he gets those only in there. And if you're going to let him have bones just laying around everywhere, or just out on the living room floor or whatever, or in his doggy bed, you're squandering your power to make this crate a very cool place, a very important place for him. So make sure that bones, chewies, mealtime, every time he goes in, treats, all that stuff happens in the crate. And then always close the door after him like this, and then always close the door so he can't just go back in and out during the day and grab his stuff and come out or do whatever he wants, because that will nullify your power of controlling his access into his favorite place. So here he's been sleeping overnight, every night in the crate, and his day consists of just coming in and out constantly. He might be in there for an hour, out for half an hour, back in for another 45 minutes, out for 45 minutes. It's just different, but he's in and out constantly throughout the day. We take his training collar off and just hang it on the crate door so it doesn't get all tangled up. We also are attaching it, we're doubling up on a choke chain as well, which is not on him for some reason, so I'm going to grab one right here. And then I'll show you how we do it. And the only reason that we do this is not used for training. Choke chains can be very dangerous because there's no safety and it's all right there and it's metal. But it just hangs loose and it's attached to the clip like this. And it's also attached, the same clip from the leash is also attached to the prong collar, so that in case the prong collar ever comes off, then the choke chain comes into play and you don't lose him out in public. So the prong collar would come off. The choke chain's always loose like this around his neck, and then if it ever comes off, then you have a safety and you can never lose him. So that's why we double up like this. And it might happen a couple times a year. So you have to be careful how you put this on to make sure it doesn't come off out in public. So when I'm going to take him out, let's say he's been in there for a while, whenever I put my hands in there, whenever I have an interaction with him, I always come bearing gifts. It's always a positive thing. I always want him to love to see my hands coming at him like that. So, good. And actually, to put this choke chain on, you can stick your hand through the choke chain and then just draw it over his head as he kind of helps you and sticks his head through to get the treats out of your hand. And then that's really easy. And see how he's waiting at the boundary? If he tries to come out before you let him out, just a little token slam like that. It's not even really a slam, but it's all you need. And then when he waits, good, and always stick your hand in there so his head is inside when he gets the treat. Good. If you give it to him out here, you're going to teach him to stick his head out. So always put your hand in there so he's getting all his treats inside, and he's completely inside at all times. And then you just hook up the leash to the prong collar, just like this. Make sure it's not twisted. Make sure the collar isn't twisted. You can just let it hang like that. Make sure it's twisted, not twisted. This round ring there is just a spacer, so don't touch that. The leash attaches to this funny looking buckle there. Leave the spacer alone, but it should just look like this. You reach in, just put this collar on. It's the highest one up right below the ears, and you can just do it from feel. It's really easy. And then if I'm going to take him outside, I'm just going to also attach it to the choke chain so that if we're outside on the street, there's no way I can ever lose him. And then you have the leash on, and you can practice this little exercise. Good. Where he waits, you step back. If he tries to come out, no. And then when he waits, good. Maybe even stepping farther away. Good. It's just another boundary exercise like the front door exercise. And this really makes you good, powerful in his life. If you can control the important boundaries in his life, he's more likely to listen to you when you give him a command and listen to you out in public or in a crisis situation, because more likely to take you seriously because you're controlling important things in his life. So when it's time to come out, just pat your leg and say, okay. He'll come out, do a little left turn here. Remember, you're always keeping this door closed. So always keep it closed. Okay, we're gonna go back outside again. Sit, notice how we're doing the left circle. Have him sit at the doorway. This doorway thing is always do it the same way. Step out, step back in, he waits, okay. He walks with me without pulling, okay. On the outside, sit and go. He's free. In this case, I'm gonna take him for a walk, so I'm gonna close the front door. We have Lobo here, and we're reintroducing him somebody that he hasn't seen for a few weeks. He's very excited. He's very happy to see her. He was barking at her just a minute ago. I'm going to give her a little reward there, but I told him to sit, and he's waiting. Go say hi. He's going to get the treat. I'm going to say, come. He's very happy to see her. There's all these things to smell on his way back and forth from going over to her. Sit. So we're doing this greeting routine in kind of a difficult situation for him. If he doesn't sit, you just turn into him like this. If he's really excited, and we know that Lobo is a dog that gets very excited, you just reset him, put him back. Go say hi, gets a treat. Come, I'm gonna call him back to me before he jumps on her. Sit, and of course he wants to smell everything because we have a lot of other dog smells here in this yard. We'll just do this a few more times. So you see, like if he's really excited to see somebody, whether they're a new person or somebody he knows really well, you just have to really go, be firm, and you can pet him. There you go. More likely not to jump. Come, if you pet him. If you don't pet him, just so you know, most dogs are going to jump on you, and then you're going to be forced to touch him. You're going to be forced to pet him. So if he's on all fours, you want to be down there to pet him and give him the treat. And then, of course, somebody hopefully is managing him and calls him back to come before he jumps, or if he looks like he's going to jump. So we're just doing this over and over again. I have him sit, I step away, which is, of course, a sit-stay. I give her treats. I come back. He waits till I come back. Go say hi. Gets a treat. She pets him, gives him the treat. He doesn't jump. You know, jumping can come after that. So come, see what happened? Good. So let's do that again. Sit. So if he rolls on his back or rolls on the ground, all you have to do is say no, put your hands up and step back, because this is kind of like a chess game. If he does certain things, you know other things are about to come. So that usually they get on the ground, they roll on their back, and they're about to pop up and get really excited. It's also raining right now. It's raining pretty hard. And as we know, most LA dogs aren't used to rain, and he's extra excited. We had thunder too, so all the dogs are extra excited today. So I think it's good to show you the video today because he's kind of at his worst today. Go, let's try it again. Good, pet him. And we call him back to me. Come. Good, so even in this kind of crazy environment right now, sit, all the storming and everything, you do this for a few minutes and just stick to the routine. We'll do it one more time here. He falls into place. It's a great training exercise to do with him. See how he's no. If he doesn't wait, you say no, do your little left circle, gently but firmly put him back. Be a stickler for details. Make sure that he knows exactly, like you stick with the routine, stick with the rules. Don't let him get away with anything. See how he's very anticipatory, but he's still waiting until I actually pat his chest. Go. That's the way you want to do it. Come. And that's your greeting routine. Sit. Good. Notice how as soon as he sat, I had a little reward. He looked up at me. We'll do it again. If he's not looking at you, just tap him like that. He'll look up at you. Put this by your eyes. It makes a difference if he has eye contact with you. Good. And you reward him as you say good, as he looks in your eyes. It makes a bit of a difference. It's a lot better than this, where the giant hand comes out of the sky and he's like, you know, eating out of somebody's hand, his valet's hand. So it just is a much more stronger connection if he's looking at you in your eyes as he gets a reward. You're above him, and you say good because you also want him to have a good feeling about that good word as well. And you can't do it in other areas like in a down because it'll trigger him to get up and try to take the treat. But in a sit, when he's sitting, to reward him that way is really a good way to do it. And then sit means to stay, even though he's super excited right now. We're in the middle of a rainstorm, which is why we have to do it in here under the tent. Very excited. We had thunder, you know, so he's a very excitable dog in the first place. So this is good to show you what he's like. Good under pressure. If he would have popped up, I would have said no. Let's pretend he popped up when I stood out here like this. I would have said no. Okay, he would have been standing up. I would have said no. I would have stepped into him. And I just would have gently but firmly put him back and just pulled up with a little bit of pressure. I'm not popping, I'm not jerking, there's no rough stuff. Just reset him, do it again. If he pops up 3 times in a row or whatever, you just put him back the same way 3 times in a row. And insist on that sit stay if you're practicing the basic sit stay where you walk around both ways. Just the basic stay. Of course we're not, and if he pops up, we have people and dogs walking past on the other side of the gate. That's a distraction, so I say no. Do that do-over circle, pull up with a little bit of pressure. Very excited because there's noises on the other side of this gate. Doesn't matter though, when you tell him to SIT, or any other command, I don't care what's going on, he needs to do it. And that's why we have been practicing with distractions like this, so that he can actually do it in the presence of distractions. So there's no stay, of course, because sit means to stay. You never heard me say once. But we're teaching him to wait till you come back next to him, either pat his chest and say go, which means he's free, or if you're going to walk with him, you're going to come back next to him, pat your leg and say, okay, and he'll walk with you. Down. There we go. Good. He almost fell over there. Nope. Good. So he's almost got his D-O-W-N. I don't want to repeat it at all, so I'm spelling it. But you saw what I did there. I put the words together with the action, the command together with the action of just easing him down with my left foot. He's just maybe a few more days away from a much better downstay. Sometimes it takes a dog longer than 3 weeks to really get that at a high level. So good. I'm pretty sure that because when I deliver him and you're practicing with him and I'm not there, he may hesitate when you say down. So I don't even want you to go there to where like you say down, he ignores you, and then you have to struggle and put him down there because that's a pattern that can go on forever. So, and he never gets any better. So I suggest you do it exactly like I did it for, like, let's say the first week that he's back with you. Just assume that he's going to be slow at his down command, and just when you have him go down, just say down and do it all together, and then pretty soon, it might just be a few days, you won't even have to do this part anymore, because if he hears it at the same time and he goes there, he's just going to start doing it and not hesitating and then being forced there. You see there's a big difference between the two. So just do it this way, and then he should get to the next level pretty quickly. And if it's out in front, if you want him to go down and he's out in front of you, then of course you're just going to do this down, and he's going to go straight down. Now the stay is solid. He's got a super solid stay, so I can step away, I can walk around. Good. This is a good place to do it because there's so much going on the other side of this wooden fence here that he can hear, and he can sort of see through there's cracks in the fence too. So it's, he's got a really good stay. When you're in a secure yard like this, you can step away. I'm stepping out of the camera view and doing, big wide walk around circles. You can do all kinds of stuff. If he gets up, you say no. Gently but firmly, just put him back. Big mistake there. I mean, not a big mistake, but there's all this stuff going on the other side. Doors closing, all kinds of stuff, people walking around. He's doing really well considering. But when you're doing this, you always want to finish on a success. So he popped up, I said no, I put him back. That's exactly the way you're going to do it. Make sure you get at least a few more moments of a successful downstay before you release him. You always want to end on a success like this. He gets a reward. Good. Just like as if he's on the mat. Same as if he's on the mat that you saw in the other part of this video. And then he's waiting for you to come back next to him. Okay. And then sit. We always want to release the dog from a calm sit stay out of a down, because the old school way of doing it is just releasing him straight out of a down, and a dog like him will get super excited and be anticipating when he's going to be free and pop up and run around, and he won't keep any of the calmness that you're trying to develop in that down stay. But this way, he's still on the clock, and he sits, and you get to release him from a calm sit stay, which is much easier to do. See how he's doing, waiting? No, don't touch my hand. Nope. Go. So he's still kind of jumpy, but you see it would be so much worse if you were releasing him out of a straight down stay. Just pop up and run off, and that wouldn't really help you much. Because really what we're trying to do is the byproduct of training him in this specific way and doing the down stays, doing the sit stays, is that we want him to be calmer 24/7. So it's about how we do the exercises, how we release him, how that downstay or sit stay in any given situation ends, that makes him start changing 24/7 and being just calmer overall, even when he's on free time. When I'm practicing the recall of Lobo, see how he's really interested in something on the other side of this fence. So, come! See how he came to me? I called him away from that distraction. Good. So what I did was I always call him to a target. So there's always a treat in here when I can practice, so that in an emergency situation, when you're not going to have a reward, you still make this target. And watch, he's really interested. There's dogs or people on the other side of this fence here. He's really interested in something. So no food now. Come! In a pinch. Good boy. Just love him up. He's still going to come to this. He doesn't know there's no food in there. If you practice with the reward, when you can, with the reward, with the leash, which reinforces that successful recall every time you do it, then in an emergency, no leash, no reward, just use your target. Also, see how I back away? When you back away from a dog, they can't help themselves. That was 2 times in a row with no food. They can't help themselves. They're gonna be drawn to you. So always, when you can, back away, especially when you practice. Because if when you practice you back away and they rush to you every time, in an emergency situation when your back is to the wall or whatever, you can't back away, because he's been used to practicing and always running to you because of what you do, because of the way that you call him to come to you. In an emergency situation, you can't back away. He's still going to run to you because that's the pattern you formed because you practiced. So he's had probably hundreds several hundreds of recalls since he's been here in the last few weeks. And if you continue that whenever you can practice, then he'll have a great recall when you really need it. Come. So right there, he kind of hesitated for a second. Good. All I did, you may not have even seen it, I just did a little prompt, which is kind of like a, hello, I just called you. He turns to see me, sees the target, sees me backing away, rushes to me. All the dog knows is they heard it once, and then they ended up coming to you, and something good happened. I'm not calling him ever because I'm upset with him. I'm not calling him like only when I want to put him away, or when, you know, he's doing something or it's time to go. I just call him throughout the day. We all call him throughout the day. Basically, the message to the dog is, hey, you know, it's come. Good, I just wanted to give you a gift. You know, that's it. Maybe you're gonna have him sit and then go, but the message is, hey, you wanna, you know, anytime you hear that, you wanna come running because that means something good is gonna happen. So that's what develops a really strong recall with him wanting to do it. And if you do it this way, you know, he's gonna go through his day just thinking, when's the next time somebody's gonna call me so that I can go and get that attention, get that reward, or get the reward and the attention. And always say, come, good, and pet all at the same time, so that when there's no reward, you still say good and you pet. And so they got the reward at the same time, and I said good and I petted him, but without the reward, you probably almost think he got a piece anyway, even when it's not there. So put it all together, and then later on, he'll have a great recall anytime, anywhere.